Assalamu alaikum guys, I am ARK. So far we have learned that how we can use variables to store different types of data and how can we operate on that data. And in the previous video, in the last video, we have also studied that how to take input from the user. So now let's apply these concepts and try solving some problems. We have some problem statements here. In this video, we will be trying to solve these problems and trying to develop the thought process we need to solve a problem. So let's get started. Let me just make a folder named as problems, and inside problems we'll make a file hello. So the first problem we have is hello. So the problem statement says that write a program that asks user to enter his or her name. So we need to get an input, ask the user to enter his or her name, and the problem should respond with a message that says hello to user using his or her name. So basically, before starting to solve any problem, we need to first understand the statement clearly. So our problem statement says that we need to get the name of a user as input, and we need to output a message saying hello to the user beside his name, his or her name. So let us jot down the main points. Simple enough. We have two steps. First, taking the input. So we will make a variable name where we will take an input. As all inputs are treated as strings, we don't need to typecast anything. We don't need to change the type. So we'll say enter your name, and then we can just write print hello comma name. So let us try running it. So it is asking me for the name. I'll write ARK. So you can see hello ARK is printed. So this way you have to approach a problem. You first need to understand the problem statement clearly, and then you need to write important points of the problem as comments, like what are the steps you need to perform, and then you can convert those steps into code one by one. So this was the basic example, the most basic example we can understand. Let's increase our complexity. So we have to find an area of a room. Let's first create a file, area.py. So what problem statement says is, write a program that asks the user to enter a width and length of a room. Okay. Once the values have been read, your program should compute and display the area of the room. The length and width will be entered as a floating point numbers. Okay. Include the units in your prompt and output message, either feet or meters, depending on which unit you are more comfortable with. So we need to take an input. We need to take two inputs basically, that is width and length of a room, and the formula of area of a room is length into breadth. So we need to find the area of the room based on length and breadth, and we need to use one of the inputs, either feet or meters, and we need to take inputs in the form of float. So let us take input. So let us copy this. Let us make the points first. We have asked for input. We need to display the area. Okay, we need to take the input as float, and our units will be meters, for example. It's not specified. It is up to us to use meters or feet, depending upon what we are comfortable with. So I will go with meters. So that is it. Let us code it. We can enter the LENGTS, and we also can input input enter the width. So the problem says that we need to take input in float. So we need to convert these inputs in float. So we will just write float of input. We have seen this in the previous video. This will convert the input into float. We'll specify in meters as our problem statement says it to specify in the prompt. And as we know, the formula of area is length into width or breadth. Let us print the area of the room is, and if you want to add units, we can just do this meters. I hope this works. So let us run it. So it is asking us for length in meters, so we'll give 12, we'll give 20 for the width, and as you can see we are getting the area to 40 meters. So the present problem is solved. Now let us move on to our next problem. Let's read the problem statement. So we have to print the sum of the first n positive number, and the formula is also given in the statement itself. So we just have to take the input of the value of n. That means how many integers, how many numbers starting from 0 to n a user wants to sum. That is, we will take the value of n from the user. It will be any integer, it will be any number, and we will sum all the numbers from 0 to that n and display the output like 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus so on up to n. So let us do it. Let us just remove it. So I have already written the comments because it's taking a lot of time to copy and paste the comments, make the steps. I hope you got familiar with how are we dividing the problems into steps. So we have 3 steps. We have to take the value of n as an input. So n is equals to input. Okay, no. We have to take an integer input. So we will say int of input. It will automatically convert the input into integer and store it into n. So input, we will ask user to enter the value of n, and adding the first n integers. So we have the formula sum of n equals to just n into. Now this is the important part. We have to specify brackets because we have something called operator precedence. So according to operator precedence, brackets are executed first. So precedence means the order of execution, means if an expression contains multiple operators, then what operator will be operated first. So according to that, the things in the brackets are operated first. So n into n plus 1 by 2, I hope. Yeah. Let us enclose this in bracket 2. So this will first do n plus 1. If we don't specify these brackets, then it will do n into n, then add plus 1. We don't want that. We want n into n plus 1, then we want to divide it by 2. It's a good practice to add brackets for separate expressions. It is not a separate expression, but you need to control this precedence of operator. You need to have it in your hand. So I hope you have understood the significance of brackets. We will make a separate video on operator precedence. I actually forgot that. So I'll include it in the playlist. So lastly, we need to display the output. So we will print sum of n positive integers. Okay, let's run it. So it is asking us to enter the value of n. So I'll enter 10. So you can see it is giving me the sum of first 10 integers, that is 55. Now let us move on to our next problem, that is tax and tip. Let us first read the problem statement. So the program that you create, for this exercise we'll begin reading the cost of a meal. Okay, we have to create this program for a restaurant, and we have to take the input as of cost of a meal, that means the bill, not total bill, just cost of a meal. And then your program will compute the tax and tip for the meal. Use your local tax rate when computing the amount of tax owing. Okay, we need to compute the tax using our local tax rate, that means what our local restaurant talks. Local means near to our house, obviously. So, and then we need to compute the tip as 18% of the meal amount. That means whatever the cost of the meal we are taking input, the 18% of it will be computed as tip, and some percentage of it will be computed as tax. We will decide what is that percentage based on our residence where we live. So the output from your program should include the amount, the tax amount, the tip amount, and the grand total. So we need to output the tax amount first and the tip amount, and we need to sum up all three and output the grand total. Format the output so that all the values are displayed using 2 decimal places. So we also need to round off the output and display the output only with 2 decimal places. So obviously it is a cost, so we need to take input as float. I've already made the steps. I hope the problem statement was clear to you. Cost, let's make a variable cost, and we will take float input. We will say enter the cost or the base cost, and then we need to compute tip using 18% of actual cost. So we will write tip equals to cost into 18 by 100. Okay, so 18 by 100 is 18%, and cost is our cost. So this will give the 18% of our actual cost, that is our tip computed, and we will compute the tax. I have searched that what is the local tax in Hyderabad or in India, whatever. I don't know how it is calculated. So I've just searched, I got a search result, and that is 15% written in that. So we will use 15%. It doesn't matter, you can even use 20%. We just have to create the program. That's it. So cost into 15 by 100. And now we have to compute the total bill. So total bill equals to, we can't use spaces in variables, cost plus tip plus tax, and then we need to display first the tax and the tip and then the total bill, and we also have to format it in 2 decimal places. We will do it, but let's first output it. So let's first print it, and so we are done with printing tip, tax, and total bill. Now we have to round it off. So to round it off, we have a function. We have a built-in function as round. So this round function takes 2 parameters. First the floating point it needs to round off. That means first the floating point it needs to cut down the decimal points, and second, number of decimals to display, that is in our case 2. So let us copy round and let us paste it here and here too. I hope you understood the working of round. So what this will do is it will take the tip and it will just display 2 decimals. Run it and see. So we need to enter the cost. Let's enter 845.24. So as you can see, the tip is 152, the tax is 126, and the total bill, the grand total is 1124.17. कुछ ज़्यादा ही मार दे रही. So let us head towards our next problem, that is the compound interest. We will discuss the concept of round in a separate video where we will discuss all the numbers methods related to numbers. So pretend that you have just opened a new savings account that earns 4% interest. Okay, the interest that you earn is paid at the end of the year. Okay, and added to the balance of the savings account. Take. Write a program that begins by reading the input. Okay, reading the amount of money deposited into account from the user. Then your program should compute and display the amount of savings after 1, 2, and 3 years. Display each amount so that it is rounded. Okay, same round method. So here is our compound interest file. So first we need to, I hope the statement was understood. So the statement was telling that we have deposited some money in a bank account, and that bank account gives us interest of 4% every year, and we have to compute the total amount at the end of first year and second year and third year. So let us create a variable as AMT, that is amount. I don't want to create big variables because we will use it frequently. So we will take a float input. Float of shit. What did I do? Input of enter the initial amount deposited to savings account. And then we need to compute and display the amount in the account after 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year. So the amount of interest is 4%. So we will create a variable as IR for interest rate, that is 4 by 100. Our interest rate per year is of 4%, and now after first year the total amount will be AMT1 equals to first the amount plus the 4% of amount, that is amount into IR. So this will give us the total amount after first year, and now the total amount is this one, AMT1. So the total amount after second year will be AMT2 equals to AMT1 plus AMT1 into IR. So the total amount will be this. So at the end of the year the interest will be applicable to this amount, the amount presently in savings account, not this amount, because it was incremented to this amount. So this amount will get the interest and it will be added to it. So amount, the total amount presently present in the savings account, plus the interest of 4% applied to this amount will make the amount after 2 years, and similarly the amount after 3 years. AMT3 equals to AMT2 plus AMT2 into our interest rate. I hope that was clear. Now we will display it. So print so let us run our program and see. So the initial amount, let us be the initial. So let the initial amount in our account be one whatever, and so you can see the amount after first year, the amount after second year, and the amount of the third year. and you have to concentrate on the concept of compound interest, that is how the interest is applied. I've explained it already. So let us see if it is rounding off to second decimal by giving us decimal point to our saving account. So point something something, enter. So you can see it is rounding off at second decimal place. So that is it for the video, guys. We had these 5 problems. I hope this would be helpful for you to solve further problems. I will link this file in the description, and I will also keep on adding more problems to this file so that you can practice at home and get better and better at solving problems. These problems were nothing. These was just basics of the basics, but you need to solve it in order to get used to the skills you have learned, and in order to get used to the process of solving problems, and you need to develop the mindset of a programmer. So hope this video was helpful, and if it was helpful, don't forget to like the video and don't forget to share it with your friends, and stay tuned for more. See you in the next one.